Why are some people we date aloof? They have a hard time committing in relationships. And some people are easy to be with and they like commitment, and others are clingy and they need constant validation. It's mostly because of different attachment styles, which directly impact our romantic relationships. Let's talk about attachment styles. There are four adult attachment styles, and they are secure, anxious, avoidant, and fearful avoidant. The last three are insecure attachment styles, and the first one is secure. Why do we need to know somebody's attachment style early on in dating? Well, that's because it determines the way we connect with our romantic partners. It's helpful to be able to spot a man whose attachment style is compatible with yours. Now, at the end of this video, I'm going to be talking about compatible pairings between attachment styles. But first, these are three ways to figure out somebody's attachment style early on in dating. Number one, listen closely to the first conversations. In those first conversations, you're going to be able to pick up clues that will help you determine whether your date is secure, avoidant, or anxious. And here's how. People with an avoidant attachment style are uncomfortable talking about their inner lives. So they tend to focus on topics like their jobs or their favorite movies or TV shows or current events or politics. And they get very into the details and the weeds, but they don't get too personal or deep. People with a secure attachment style will be a lot more versatile about what they talk about. They'll talk more about their feelings and their values, and they're also relaxed. They're not too intense. They're easy to talk to. People with an anxious attachment style can sometimes come across as secure in the very beginning, and that's because they want to please, they want to be liked, and they don't want to be rejected. So they can come across as funny and confident and engaging, but they have an ulterior motive, which is to be liked and validated. So if you see that kind of behavior, sometimes it can be a little hard to tell whether they're secure or anxiously attached. A secure person is not looking to be validated from the outside because they already feel good inside themselves. So pay close attention to the next two tips that will help you figure out whether your date is secure, avoidant, or anxious. You want to pay attention to how much they share about themselves. Avoidants don't reveal a lot about themselves in first conversations, and they come across as being highly independent and not in need of a partner. You might hear a man talk about how he doesn't need a woman, he's really happy in his life, he likes to date, but he's totally fine, he never wants to get married again. You'll hear little words and snippets in conversations that will give you some clues. Anxious people tend to reveal too much too soon, which can be because of their need to create intimacy very quickly, control their anxiety, and they want to also feel this interpersonal connection before there really is one. And they may come across as needy and overeager. I once had a guy send me his entire life story in an email before we even met. And I was like, I don't need to know this about you. And he said, oh, yes, you do. You really do. So this is a person with an anxious attachment style. You listen very closely and pay attention to how people behave. And some people, like the secure people, they reveal just the right amount in the right amount of time. For example, if they want to talk about their divorce, they may do that, but they won't disclose all the nitty-gritty details and the hairy-fairy bad things about their ex because they have clear emotional boundaries and they keep conversations about the past short and positive until there is a relationship, until they really get to know their date better. So it's a little bit at a time as they're building trust and intimacy, whereas an anxious attachment might be trying to attach too quickly because of their anxious attachment. And number three is listen to how they talk about their personal dating history. People often talk about their dating history in the first few dates. I mean, sometimes too much. So if you learn that your date has had a few serious relationships, but he's also spent a lot of time being single and happy, this could be a sign that he has a secure attachment style. Anxious people crave intimacy and they feel emotionally incomplete without a partner. So they'll often tell you about how they've had a continuous series of relationships since they were teenagers. They don't like to be without a relationship often. And when they discuss their past relationships, it may come out that they have some unresolved feelings. Maybe it's anger or resentment, or they never got closure. So you listen to how they talk about exes. And if your date talks about being married for only a few years and divorced for decades, and he hasn't been in a serious relationship since then, that can be a sign of an avoidant. If he doesn't seem to have any close friends, that's also usually a sign of an avoidant. He keeps to himself like an island, so he's self protective. Let's talk about which attachment styles make for the best matches. If you have a secure attachment style, you're in luck because you can have a successful relationship with any attachment type. If you're with another secure attachment style person, you both contribute to a stable relationship. You have great conversations. You can work out your issues easily without a big lot of drama. And if you are with an avoidant or anxious person, you can actually bring stability to the relationship by understanding your partner's attachment needs, and over time, you can help your partner become more secure. I've seen this happen quite a bit where one partner is secure, the other one is anxious, and it doesn't really bother the secure person because she or he has learned how to deal with the other person in a way that's really healthy. So, for that reason, avoidant and anxious people do best with a secure partner. Secures are like the golden ticket. What about anxious and anxious? That match can work, but sometimes anxious partners can become too dependent on each other and too clingy. So it's good to be aware of this going in so that you can discuss any issues as they come up and they don't get out of hand. What about an avoidant avoidant? That match can also work, but when that kind of couple hits a rough patch, both partners are more likely to walk away from the relationship rather than try to work on it. What's the worst match? And the most common, actually, is anxious and avoidant. Why is this one so hard? Because when you have an anxious and an avoidant, intimacy needs for both of them are different. So the anxious one tries to get close while the avoidant pulls away. And then often the anxious, when the avoidant starts to pull away, the anxious pulls back and becomes more avoidant, and the avoidant starts to come closer because they want the attention. It's this push me, pull you relationship where needs are not met, intimacy needs are not met, and they have opposite ways of dealing with intimacy needs not being met. So it's a vicious cycle that puts stress on a relationship. But even with the most problematic pairings, a stable and satisfying relationship is possible if both partners understand how their attachment styles affect them and then they work to address the challenges. It's all about knowing yourself, knowing your partner, and working through things. Because I've seen all types of relationships work. And I mean, ultimately, you want to get into a more secure attachment style by speaking up more, by setting boundaries more, by doing the things that don't come naturally to you so that you're not living in this place of anxiety or fear, but you're going to be showing up more in your relationship. And if you want to learn more about your attachment style and how to find your best match, I invite you to join me for next month's Woman of Value Club Masterclass. We're going to be talking all November about attachment. I'm so excited because this is one of my favorite topics. I love talking about attachment. I'm going to be leading an hour-and-a-half masterclass with breakout sessions, and it's a workshop. And you'll really learn more about what's your attachment style, What's the best attachment style match for you? And how can you show up in relationships to really show up and be your best so you can have a lasting, loving relationship?